Okay, so for our lesson today, we are only going to be working with measurements of liquid. So those are the ones I shared with you earlier, your gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hold up some examples of just different objects, and then you don't need to write this down or anything, but just think in your mind what would be the best measurement for those objects: gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. And then remember, our gallons are the largest, and then cups are our smallest measurements that we're working with today. Before I get started with that, though, I do want to share another thing that you could do is if your parents do any type of baking, I'm sure that they have some measuring materials that they would need to bake with, or if you've baked some cookies or a cake or anything with your family, you've probably used these before. So this is a pretty large measuring cup, and a lot of times they won't just have one type of measurement. They'll have quarts, they'll have cups, they'll have ounces, and even liters and milliliters, which is something that we're going to learn about a little bit later, but just different types of measurements. Some are equal, like on here I can see that 4 cups is equal to 1 quart. There's also like stackable measuring cups. So they might even show things like this is just 1 cup, but it also tells me on here how much half a cup is, how much a quarter cup is. And then it also shows me, I know this is hard to see, but it does tell me on here how many tablespoons are actually equal to 1 cup. So tablespoons are another measurement that we use. There's also teaspoons that are even smaller than that. And then here's another measuring cup. It's just a little bit smaller. This one just goes up to 1 cup. And then on the other side, it shows me ounces and milliliters. So this might be a handy thing to reference just as you're working through some of your math problems today. It's kind of nice to have a visual and actually see what those measurements look like. So, okay, I'm gonna hold up some examples. I'll give you a little bit of time to think of which measurement tool would be the best to use, and then I'll share out those answers. So your first one is going to be a bathtub. So let me get my chart here. Would it be best, let's see if I can stack this, to use gallons, quarts, pints, or cups? So think of how big a bathtub is. Which one would be the best form of measurement to use? All right, and so a bathtub is pretty big, so you would definitely want to use gallons to measure that. Okay, next one, we're going small with a bowl of soup. A bowl of soup. So would you measure that using gallons, quarts, pints, or cups? Just like a normal bowl of Campbell's soup. All right, so probably for a bowl of soup, it might go a little bit more than a cup. So you can measure that maybe using pints or cups. Might be like a few cups, maybe only like 1 pint of soup. Sometimes with measurement, like these might be debatable, but one thing we know for sure, like a bathtub, you wouldn't measure how much water could go in a bathtub using cups or pints. That would take you a long time. You'd want to go with the biggest measurement. So just use your best judgment on those sometimes. Okay, try to think of some more smaller examples. Those are a little tricky, but what about like just a small water balloon? So not like a big giant balloon that you would hold up in the air, but just like a tiny water balloon that you would fill up. Sometimes they're like a pain to fill up on a hose. I can remember fighting with that sometimes, trying to fit water in there. So for a small water balloon, that would probably only hold about a cup. I think if you went any bigger, those little suckers would pop or explode. So water balloon, just a small little water balloon, would probably only fit about a cup or 2. Okay, and here's my other examples. Okay, so now these, I got one more. Okay, another big one. A swimming pool. What would you use to measure a swimming pool? All right, and even in those small, like just blow up swimming pools, you would still want to use gallons because they're still pretty big. All right. Okay, now these, I've got 2 more examples. Now we're gonna make a little more of an estimate. So it's gonna have an object on here, and then it's also gonna have 2 estimates. So you gotta decide which one is the better estimate. So a little just baby bottle, would that be about 2 cups or 2 quarts? So here's 1 cup. So for a little reference, would a baby bottle hold about 2 cups or 2 quarts? Okay, and hopefully you said for a baby bottle, it would hold probably just about 2 cups. Those would not be very big. Just tiny little baby bottle. All right, and one more example, a fish tank. So not like a little fish bowl, but like a fish tank that would hold quite a bit of fish. Is that going to be closer to 5 cups or to 5 gallons? All right, and hopefully you chose the 5 gallons. That'd probably be closer to 5 gallons, a large fish tank. Okay, so again, just to review, you will be working with some story problems on your own today, and you're going to see some of this vocabulary: gallons, quarts, pints, and cups. Again, this unit has a lot of vocabulary, so make sure you do check out the link to Spelling City to go over some of that before you get started, or maybe just like as a midweek check-in. So, all right.